update?
Yeah, Taman practiced today for the first time and everything, so we'll see how his body responds to it. I'm not going to get too far ahead of things on what that means. We'll see how tomorrow when he comes in and just see how his body handled it all. We're not in a rush. Obviously, we know we'd love to have him out there, but I want for him to start the season at 100% where he feels like he can be his best, not at a deficit. So we'll just keep evaluating each day to see where he's at.
Do you anticipate when he does get back out there probably limiting him to some extent in terms of minutes, or do you want him to be to the point where, hey, whatever minutes you can play?
Yeah, I would say like I'm not big on a minute restriction type of thing. I'm more, when we're in the game, what makes sense to win the game, unless medical people dictate that there's some limitation that way. Once you're in the game too, all that stuff sounds good, and then like Taman's an elite competitor too, so when he's in the game, I don't want to hold him back. So that's why it's so important that we wait till he's good, so that we don't end up in this middle ground of how many minutes can he play and what's right. He's just ready to play.
How much does TJ playing well in those exhibitions kind of take the pressure off of him, returning or rushing to return back?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately it's about first and foremost do what's best for Taman. So whether Killian had played well or hadn't played well, we would prioritize Taman's health. As far as Killian playing well, certainly that's been one of the bright spots for us in the 2 exhibition games. I think the consistency that we see from him every single day in terms of guarding the basketball, running our team, making plays, being a winning basketball player, making big energy plays for our team. It's something that didn't just show up in the game, it's something that showed up every day in practice. So fortunate that the things that he's cultivated as habits came to fruition on the night of the games, and that'll be something that'll continue to be important.
When you look at the jump Killian's made in that time, how important has this last month and a couple weeks been for him?
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten a lot more reps at the point with the first group, right? And so I think that helps you as well. When Taman was a freshman, he was fortunate that, he got all those reps as well, and that helps speed up your development, your confidence, your belief. And so if there's been any positive probably of Taman not being able to be out there as much, it's been for Killian to really get a ton of those reps and play with the main unit, or the top guys, and then that's really helped his confidence continue to grow.
How do you think your team benefited from the fan experience, having fans there for the exhibition versus the quote-unquote super secret scrimmages?
Yeah, I mean, the exhibition feels so much more like a real game in how you prepare for it and how you go about it, because the fans are a part of the game. It is a part of the experience, as is media, social media, all the things that go along with playing the game when it's streamed or it's in front of fans or those sort of things. So it feels more like a real game, certainly. The challenge is it makes it feel like the season's a little bit longer because it feels like it started a little sooner. But other than that, I think you play through maybe some of those jitters or whatever, the knot you get in your stomach, and you know how to kind of handle that better because you've already dealt with it in a true home game and a true road game.
Is there an area or two that you're wondering or hoping to see be up to the day one standard come Monday?
Yeah, like the consistency defensively to get our defense set and impose our will. And I think, there's times against Northwestern we were able to do that and times we didn't. I think against Creighton we did a poor job in that department. So it's really like sprinting back, letting our ball pressure kind of dictate things, get the ball to stop. And that's the number one thing to me on that side of it. And then on the other side, from an offensive standpoint, we want to continue to attack the paint, be at the rim, and be at the foul line. And those are things we've got to be intentional to go about doing. So I think if you said to me, what are we looking for in terms of moving forward, I would say defensively to dictate, disrupt, so we can generate turnovers, score off our defense. Offensively to get to the rim, the paint, and the foul line, and then convert at a high rate when we do that.
You've talked a lot in the past defensively about the multiple efforts that you asked your guys to make. Where are they with that?
Yeah, I would say we're okay right now in that department. I think some possessions we have it, some we don't. And to make the multiple efforts, you've got to be a continuous player. So you've got to make sure that you go from a closeout to sprinting to help. You go from sprinting to help to a closeout, on and on. and that's the same thing on the glass. You've got to go from being a great help defender to a great weak side rebounder. You've got to go from being a guy who contested a shot to a guy who sprinted back into play. So, that's something that is really important for our defense. I don't take for granted the strength that we've had defensively over the last 4 years has been the result of those multiple efforts. With 9 new guys, it's something that we're still working on and building, and we see at times, and we'd love to see more.
One of the freshmen that we haven't seen as much in the 2 exhibitions is Zay Mitchell. What are your kind of plans for him as he enters his freshman year?
Yeah, right now, Zay's working hard every day in practice to create an opportunity for himself, right? To find a way to carve out a niche, carve out a role, to earn some minutes. So I'd say at this point, him continuing to stack days every single day where he's bringing value to that group. He does have some versatility both defensively and offensively that could be an asset for us at some points this season. And hopefully, I think for him it's about keeping that focus on it, knowing at some point opportunity is going to present itself, and stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Nate talked after the game how his second summer in your program was a little bit easier than his first summer. What's it going to take for him to kind of hit the ground running this season?
Well, for High Z, everything's about his approach to it. When Nate does a great job preparing mentally, being intentional, and doing all those things, as soon as he comes into the game, when he has the mindset of, I'm going to be the aggressor, right? I'm going to guard the basketball, speed the guy up, get a collision. I'm going to drive the ball with force through a closeout. I'm going to aggressively hunt the three. I'm going to attack a closeout. His mentality, when he's aggressive and he starts aggressive, everything goes from there. Last year, he had a belief more so of like, hey, when I see the first three going, then I'm going to shoot it great. He's moved past that in a positive way where now he says, I'm going to be the aggressor. I'm going to start the fight on whatever side of the basketball it is. When he does that, everything seems to go his way. And then you see the performance he had the other night where he was the aggressor defensively, offensively, driving the ball, shooting the ball, making plays. And that's probably the one area how he's driven the basketball so well with force. He's driven it through contact. He's creating and finishing plays at the rim because he's not just a catch and shoot guy. He's a guy that can make those plays and be a guy that is a bigger guard at 6'5" and 215 where he can drive it through and make those plays. So we want to encourage him to do that aggressively just like he plays aggressively defensively.
You spent a lot of time talking about numericals for Milan when it comes to shots or field goal attempts. Is that something that you have outlined for Nate this year as well? And if so, what are those for him?
Yeah, I think Milan, his self-image as a player is like his superpowers is seeing that ball go through the basket, right? When he scores it, you see the gravity, the energy, the smile, the swagger, all those things. So for him, how he values himself as a player is more along those lines, and then everything else goes better. So we need to be very intentional, try to create those opportunities for Milan. With Nate, his value more, he likes the mentality piece of it more. And so I think it's just a differing skill set. Even though you can say, hey, those are two of our best or maybe our two best three-point shooters, they're entirely different how they go about it. Nate's far more of a mentality, I want to fight you every possession on both sides, and as I'm winning that fight, the game will go my way. The points, the assists, the rebounds, the stops, whatever it may be will follow. So I've loved how Nate Heise's been aggressive. I just want him to continue to be aggressive every single night out. Whatever the outcomes are over time, he's going to shoot 40% from three. He did last year, so I don't want him thinking in game what's the outcome-based approach. I just want him thinking if I'm getting great shots and great drives and I'm being aggressive, coach has said we're going to live with whatever the outcome is and get to the next play.
How important is it for you to be able to relate to Nate being a mentality approach type that you talked about there, and then Milan being a numerical approach and being able to have plans that you can discuss and effectively communicate with the both of them that are very different, it seems like?
Yeah, they are. And I think like for everybody, you've got to understand each player. How do they play at their best? Fortunate to have coached, we're going on year 3 with Milan, recruited him for 2 years coming in, very familiar with Nate's game over time, coached him last year. So you just learn about what does each guy need to be at their best, and then how do you fit the strengths of all 5 that are on the court, together where they can be their best. And I think there's guys on our team that are more mentality based. There's guys on our team that might be more numerical based for one way or another. Ultimately, it's just about, getting the group to function the best that we can as 5 guys on both sides of the ball.
What are your thoughts on Blake Buchanan and what he's shown so far at the 5, and what is your vision for him this season?
Well, Blake demonstrates defensively extremely high activity level. He's fast, he's responsive, he's consistent on pick and roll coverage. He's a great talker. So elite defender in terms of how he goes about making plays, finishing things, and along those lines. And he's proven that every day. Offensively, what we're going to lean into with him is his speed in space. We can play 5 out on the perimeter where he can move the ball. He's a very gifted, skilled passer. We're going to lean into that skill for sure. I think he can be a guy that, like, we can get some rim runs and backside lobs and go upstairs and him have a focus to try to finish everything, dunking the basketball. And then, you know, as other guys take the shot or the shot on goal, because he is tall and long and he's a quick jumper in space, you know, getting to that rebound. So everybody goes about doing that differently. Blake is really good in space where he can run and jump, use his IQ, his speed, and his feel for the game. And so we're going to work our best to incorporate that into our plan on both sides.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.